The number one rule for having great conversations as an introvert is to ask great questions. I was just in the sauna the other day and a girl walked in with a David Goggins book. I asked her, what did she think of the book so far? And we got to talking about that. And then this conversation ended up going on for 20 minutes and we got to talking about her career, her personal life. And it was just a good conversation overall. And we developed a friendship really quickly, all just off the basis of one question that ended up becoming a long conversation. We ended up doing an ice bath together. I did 5 minutes in the colder tub. She did 5 minutes in the one right in front, which is slightly warmer. And we both developed a good friendship. And the next day we did the same thing. And this all started because I just asked one simple question that got a conversation going. There are two ways to ask questions that will allow you to have great conversations effortlessly. And this first one is super easy to do. So my favorite time to use this first method is when I'm outside the bars and clubs, especially when I'm traveling in new cities. I love to just ask people, what do they think of this bar or club? Do they have any other recommendations or clubs that they like to go to? And this just gets the conversation going. So whoever's in the vicinity, in front of me, behind me, I just start talking to, and this is an easy question just to get things going. It's very low resistance and you can get people talking. And then this also can allow you to start using the second method, which we'll touch on in just a second. But this first one is going to be using an environmental question. This is what I did in that first story with the David Goggins book. And this is also what I love to do when I'm in the line at the bars or clubs. It's asking a question about someone's opinions or thoughts related to something within the environment. So the girl came in with a David Goggins book, and that's an easy environmental cue that I can use to start a conversation, especially having read that book myself. At the bars and clubs, everyone's going into that club. They're on the line for it. So you can ask them, what do they think of this, bar or club? Having it specifically directed towards their thoughts or opinions, not just something like, what time does this bar close? That's very close-ended, and it'll end the conversation right after they give you the answer. But this other one allows you to start a conversation in a way that's super low resistance. You pretty much can't face rejection this way. If they give you a one-word answer and are super not wanting to have a conversation, then no harm, no foul. It doesn't really reflect like a rejection in that sense. So this is a way that if you're introvert and you're shy and you're nervous to start conversations, you can easily get things going in such a low resistance way and then take it really far using this second method I'm about to tell you. And this second method is an absolute killer for people to think you're a great conversationalist, and it's so easy to do. So every time I'm in the bars or clubs and I see a girl I like, I ask her 3 simple questions. I've done this now at least a couple hundred times and it works like a gem. What are these 3 questions? I just ask them, what is their name? Where are they from? And if they work or if they're in school. Those 3 questions is all I need to see if a girl likes me and if I want to take this conversation any further, or if I can depart my ways and say it was a pleasure to meet her and then go somewhere else and talk to another girl. But the point behind this one is you're going to want to ask someone questions about themselves. People's favorite subject is themselves. Everybody is a little bit of a narcissist. They love to talk about themselves. So if you can be someone who is very friendly, very open and warm, and get someone to talk about themselves and just asking simple questions, following it up with open-ended questions, having an overall positive regard throughout the conversation, they're absolutely going to love you. And what you're doing is really not that hard or complicated. All you have to do is have a little bit of courage and confidence to go in there and just straight up ask someone their name. So one time that comes to mind when I did this, and it worked extremely well, was this past summer in Sweden. I was on the line to the bathroom, and I saw this girl when I left waiting for her friends by a table. I went over and I made eye contact and I went up and talked to her, and I just said, "Excuse me, what's your name?" And she told me her name. I asked her the questions, we got to a little bit of talking, and then we ended up hanging out and having a really great night, all because I just used those simple questions. And one thing she told me later on when we were back at my hotel was that she was so grateful that I came up and talked to her, and especially that I did it alone, because not many Swedes would have done that. Like Swedish guys, I guess, wouldn't have had that sort of confidence to just go up and introduce themselves to a girl and go to the club all by themselves. And she just really admired and respected that about me. So this one's gonna definitely show a little bit more confidence and courage when you go up and just ask someone their name, because you do put yourself out there for the immediate risk of rejection, which has happened plenty of times as well. In this same summer, many times right off the bat, a girl will be like, "No, I got a boyfriend," and I'll be like, "Okay, cool, have a good night." Either way, it's fine, but this one will win people over much quicker if you can get it to work and if you deliver everything the right way. So it really just comes down to asking people a couple questions about themselves, and if if the vibes are really going well and if they're reciprocating, then you can take this conversation infinitely long. There's really no end to how long this conversation can go. And also, if you're a little bit nervous and you don't have that confidence or that courage built up yet, you can start off with the environmental, like we mentioned before. You can ask a question about a book, or you can ask a question about being online to the club and their thoughts and opinions of the club. And then you can easily transition after that question, saying something like, you say, what do you think of this bar? And they're just like, oh, I love it here. And be like, okay, cool. You're from around the area? And they're gonna say whatever. And then you keep it going. Oh, nice. Are you in school around here? Do you work? And then you keep it going, and it's very simple, but you can use the environmental if you don't want to just go with what's your name. So these are the two ways that I've been able to start and have great conversations. Really, it doesn't come down to too much. If you just are a nice, friendly person, you smile, you ask questions, you keep the conversation on the other person, you will be able to have great conversations even as an introvert. Growing up, I was a really, really shy kid. I struggled to get conversations going, but once I read a couple books on social skills, charisma, I realized how simple it was. And when I actually just started applying these things, my life completely changed. And I went from being someone who struggled to make friends to someone who was able to make friends very quickly and easily. And I've had to do this so many times, moving from city to city. I must have moved into 5 different cities over the last 3 years, also visited other ones whilst I was in those other cities. A lot of the time traveling alone, doing things by myself, having to make friends very quickly in order to have a fun time when I go to, let's just say, a new city in Sweden to go party. So this is the foundation of everything I've done in order to have my social success, is these two things. It all starts with these basics, and then you can build off of it with more charismatic traits. And I've got plenty of videos on this channel teaching you how to be more charismatic. But this is the foundation to allow you to have great conversations. And if this video provided you with any value, go and hit that subscribe button to this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.